Nice. You're live. All right. Cool. Thursday Night Live. This might be inevitable just for those of you that are watching that have not or were not a part of this live that are watching after the fact. Thursday nights might be the new nights. I just got a new job and I will be working weekends at night. So that might be Thursday Night Lives now or Wednesday Night Lives. Not really sure. Tomorrow's my first day, so we will figure it out. But the live session last week I thought went pretty well, and the topic was philosophy of religion and non-religion. So I was like, let's just keep it going. Yeah, let's just keep it going. And to the one person that's watching right now, sticking with me, what's going on, man? Glad you're here. Yeah, I've had several thoughts on religion and non-religion within the past day or so, and especially in regards to my own uh, podcast, listening to my own podcast, talking about faith and belief. Um, I realized today, and I think I'm going to do another podcast talking about it. I mean, if nobody joins and starts discussing things, but I realized, I think, as I look at more, even if you listen to my last podcast, which the podcast was on, I said, I am a man of faith. I'm not a man of belief. I don't believe in God, but I have faith that there is something more, that there is something greater. I started listening to my own podcast today on YouTube, just to answer to the YouTube comments, and basically came to this realization that through Bible stuff and Bible context, culture, all of that, and my whole etymological study, all of that, I think faith and belief is a philosophical term, or philosophical terms rather than um, um, theological terms. And there's a lot more in that I've thought about. But hey, man, what is going on, Eric? Glad to see you here. Good to see you too. Hey, Nicole, what's going on? Yes, Thursday. Yeah, so these might turn into Thursday night lives. Yo, 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 what's up, Jess? Um, Hope you're doing better. Yeah, these might turn into Thursday night lives just because I got a new job and I will be working nights on weekends, more than likely. Maybe even Thursday nights as well. So we might have some Wednesday night lives. I don't know. So you are really an awesome person. Well, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Love you, man. Well, thank you. Really, really appreciate that. It means the world. Really, really does. Really, really does. So how you guys doing? How you doing, Eric? How you doing, Nicole? How you doing, Jess? 10-letter rap. Yo, what's the topic for today? Well, last week the topic was philosophy of religion and non-religion, and so I mean that's what most topics are on. I just word it differently. So I've been thinking I might just start calling these philosophy of religion discussions, or philosophy and religion, whatever, like, or skepticism and agnosticism. I don't know, whatever. I might just call these chats the same thing every week instead of picking a specific topic, because I mean the conversation always drifts all over the place anyway. So always goes all over the place anyway. So yeah, yeah, and it's definitely good to have a topic of discussion, but whatever it is, it drifts. So yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. How's the new job going? Loving it. Haven't started yet. My first day is tomorrow. So we shall see how it goes. um, or whatever you guys bring up. Yeah, I could definitely name it that. Whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about. I mean, but enough. Just that's fantastic. Oh man, how you doing? I mean, But enough about me. I think you could just title them Philosophical Misfits Live. I totally could. Yeah. Love your podcast, man. Trenzy, MD, what's going on? Glad you made it here. Have you been on lives before? I don't recognize your name. Glad you like the podcast. Did you hear about did you get the did you start listening to it just off of this YouTube channel? Or did you hear about it somewhere else? Where you work at? I'm going to be bartending at a movie theater called the Alamo. What's up? What up, Eric MD3? What's going on, man? Hey, thoughts on Justin Bieber's Lyme diagnosis? Unexpected. Yeah, I feel his pain. I'm like, hey, I'm not the only one. Obviously, there's tons of other people who have Lyme disease, but it explains it because I noticed in one of his videos that he on his YouTube series. I haven't watched all of it. I watched the trailer for it, but he was in a hyperbolic chamber, and I was like, what is he doing in there? And it's like, oh, he has Lyme disease, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. So yeah, feel his pain. Hopefully he's not gone. I mean, he has the money to get proper treatment, so no doubt he's doing a whole lot better now than he was. Sending good vibes towards you and your new job. Appreciate it, Eric. Free movies for Nate. Actually, it's not. It's like one free movie a week. So I've noticed an onslaught of new commenters, and it's so exciting. People not being afraid to admit their questioning, and also so glad people are finding a community. That is real. I am, yeah. I've noticed that as well, and it makes me very happy. What's going on, Ayub? I hope I'm saying your name right. What's up, man? Glad to see you here. Come on, one free movie. Come on, one free movie that I don't have. Yeah, one free movie a week. Yep, and you can't go, and I can't go on weekends, and I can't go at nights. So basically, one free matinee movie during the week. I haven't been here in a few months. Yeah, it has been a while. I'm solid in my faith in Jesus, but I'm still like a misfit because I don't fit into any religious box. I'm curious of what exactly you mean by that. How do your views, Nicole, differ from that of, I mean, I'm glad you're here. First off, I'm glad that you consider yourself a part of the Misfit family. That's awesome. Welcome. Well, welcome. You know you're a part of the Misfit family, but anyone is a part of the Misfit family. If they don't feel like they fit in, this is the place where they can go. But I'm curious how your beliefs, because I know you believe in God, obviously, and Christian, how your beliefs differ from that of a traditional Christian belief. I wasn't getting notifications. Man, you got to hit that bell. Hit that bell, man. I think there's a certain transition period people have to go through after watching so many of your videos and really seeing others agree make it easier. Well, hopefully that's the case, and that's why I haven't blown up yet. Not to sound like cocky or like I'm actually going to at one point, but maybe that's why. And I'm excited that people are finally starting to feel like they are allowed to question. I'm a Christ follower who doesn't church. I study on my own. I don't church either. That's good. I have a hard time because anytime I start having these initial thoughts about religion, and often sometimes I'm under the belief that the thoughts aren't even coming from me, but Jesus, and I struggle. Thoughts about religion, and often sometimes. What's the struggle about? Did you hear the song I sent you? Oh man. Yo, I gotta be honest, man. Been so busy lately. I have not had the time. This whole week's been pretty chaotic for me, and every week to come now, because I just took on another job. So definitely hit this man's thumbs up button. Well, thank you, dude. All right, you weed extreme 4x4 dude, get the fuck out. Because I can't decide if this is a sort of aftershock from the trauma I know religion can have on people and the change religion has on people, or if it's real. That is, I mean, that is the question. That's the question for me, and that's the question for so many other people. It's like, is what I'm hearing, um, is this actually, is this because of a religious mindset that I have that I was trained to have, or is this actually real? You know, the world isn't ready for you yet. Well, I hope that's the case. First time here. Well, welcome, Trenzy. Welcome. I came across one of your videos on YouTube and subbed. Nice content, man. Man, very eye-opening. Really appreciate that, and I'm glad that you're a part of this live stream. Really appreciate it. You're good, Nate. I get it. um, just message if you sent it to me on Instagram. Message me again so that it pops back up in my DMs, and I'll try to listen to it. Because my salvation is in Christ alone and has nothing to do with me and my works. I do not go to church either, but I read and. So is that the only difference between? Oh, connection is unstable. Come on, man. So is that the only difference between you and a normal, traditional, conservative Christian, you would say? I knew you'd understand. Well, of course. I truly have a relationship, not a religion. There's a huge difference. So what does your relationship look like, Nicole? I spot an extremist in the chat. Yes, indeed. Because this could be the subjective experience we both seek, but it could also be PTSD. I would say it's I would say it's PTSD. Yeah, I've actually been thinking a lot about this thing of ever since. So by the way, Sunday, guys, get ready for it. Matt Palmer, this dude is insane, an insanely intelligent human being, and I had him on my podcast, two over 2 hour podcast, and we get into a lot of deconstructing a lot of biblical stuff, deconstructing a lot of supernatural stuff, a lot of deconstructing. And ever since that podcast, I've been thinking, what is the actual definition of what I mean when I say supernatural? Um, and so I know from what you're saying, Jess, that I would say it's more PTSD, because the more I've thought about what I mean by supernatural, the more I am at a point where I know what I'm looking for. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, I know it when I see it. It's like I know specifically what I'm looking for. That it's like, yeah, um, to know that it's a God that exists, that sees me and loves me unconditionally. Question: why do I reconsider my decision of leaving religion every time I feel down or depressed? Well, I mean, uh, you can look at that in a number of ways. You can look at that as I'm feeling down and depressed because I don't have my old religion, or I'm feeling down and depressed simply because life isn't. I haven't learned to rejoice in my sufferings, and life is not coming at me the right way right now. Or I don't know how to deal with this specific point in my life right now, or even seeing. You could even take that as a red flag of seeing that There's a lesson to be learned right here, and I'm not willing to learn it. I'm not willing to face it. There's a fear set in there. I mean, there can be so many things, honestly. Um, but I mean, I think that at the bottom of that question is a fear. Because I know for myself, whenever I get to a point of like, what am I doing? Like, what did I have it right? And then I just like everything just broke down and went to shit. And like, did I have it right? Like, and then my brain just got so skewed and messed up. Like, obviously, my life isn't great right now. And what if I'm just doing this all to myself? And and then that's just like a hole you can dig yourself in and have a hard time finding your way out of. And but at the bottom of that is fear, because out of this traditional conservative view of Christianity, there's two points that, when you look into religious trauma syndrome, that there are two things that it's like these are the grounding points that cause religious trauma. One of them is the doctrine of original sin, that you are inherently a bad person, and all of the very skewed mindsets that come from that, and messed up mindsets that aren't true, and aren't valid even theologically. And then also it's a fear-based religion. Now Christians would say it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a love-based religion. But the truth of the matter is, even some of my closest friends who still say that they are God-believing Christians admit openly that they are Christians out of fear. And then ultimately, that fear comes from fear of damnation, fear of hell, which that all of that causes serious psychological damage and trauma. And there's a number of things wrong with all of those, but I think at the heart, at the depth of your question, there is a fear set in place that it's like, what if I am wrong? What if I am doubting and God sees my doubting and he hates me for it? Or what if I'm wrong and I'm facing hell and I'm willingly rejecting something that I once had that was true? And you know, oh man, it's just fear. And the thing that I keep reminding myself is that if I'm going to come back. And no, it's not even if I'm going to come back, because I'm not. I'm like I've like refused. I've been at that place, and I'm like, no, I am not going back to an ideology, a philosophy, a religion that I was drawn to out of fear, and that I'm still drawn to out of fear. Like that's not that is what the reason I walked away from it is that reason. So why would I go back for that reason? And of course, I walked away from it for many other reasons. But I think the thing that you have to remember, just to encourage you with that question, and whenever you feel like down and depressed and like, oh, should I go back to my religion or whatever, is to remember that at the heart of that is fear. And you never want to act out of fear. You never want to make a decision based out of fear. Now, I know many people are going to hear that and they're going to insert a situation like fear could be healthy and fear could be good. Some of those situations, I'm just like, well, there's a difference between intelligent and stupid. So if you want to call that fear, then sure, by all means. But in my book, in my understanding, in how I live my life personally and want to continue to live my life, is that if there is a decision made out of fear, it will never produce a positive result. And so yeah, this is a long drawn out answer, but it's actually a multifaceted question. There's so much inside that, and it's deeper than just why am I feeling sad and wanting to go back to religion. There's so much underneath of it that could be uncovered. But at the heart of it is fear, and personally, I never want to make a decision out of fear because it has never produced positive results. Again, there's a lot of things that people could insert in that and say, oh, well, this is out of fear and it's a positive result. And like, again, and now ask yourself in that situation, is it is it fear, or are you just going to be smart about it or stupid about it? So yeah. Anyway, I hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. I'm so far behind. Hello, man of faith, Luli. Well, I see you listen to the podcast. What do you think about someone who claims to be a Christian yet continues to live in what they call sin? Are they really saved? Oh, that's a fantastic question. That I read this book on grace at one point that really helped me understand the theology of grace and the doctrine of grace. It's called "Destined to Reign" by Derek. It's either Joseph Prince or Derek Prince. I can't remember. But I mean, I have the book right over there. I could get up, but whatever. Grace is if you are living in grace, so basically if you are saved, then you are not in sin. If you're sinning, then you're not actually in grace. And so, people always say, well, because of grace, I can sin and screw up all I want. And then God will still, um, love me, accept me, la da 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 da. It's almost like grace is their excuse. But what he was saying is that grace is one of those things where if you are in grace, if you are um, in grace, under grace, whatever you want to call it, then you are not in sin. And if you are in sin, then you are not in grace. And so, people claiming to be Christians yet live in what they call sin. Are they really saved? Uh, since reading that book, obviously I'm at a point now where I'm like, what is sin? Deconstructing sin, what it is, and deconstructing, are they really saved? You really, in that question, you gotta deconstruct both of those. You gotta deconstruct what you mean by sin and what you mean by being saved, because that question could be answered in so many different ways. But you really have to redefine what sin is and what being saved is. Because if you don't, then anybody can really come up with any subjective thing that makes sense to them. And then they'll say, "Well, that's good for me. That'll settle it." So, yeah. But I guess my answer to that is, if they're living in sin, are they really saved? I don't have a concrete. Yeah. I'm not even going to go there. I don't even have a concrete answer for that. I can say what I think it is, but I don't. I don't know. I mean, like I said, you got to deconstruct what sin is and being saved is. Have you heard Mac Miller's new song? No, I haven't. Well, thank you for that. I agree. It's time for ultimate desires, tailor made for us, that causes you to doubt. Thank you for. I know you're speaking to me. I just don't know what you're thanking me for. I totally forget now. The way to find out supernatural is to find out what is natural. You're not wrong. I know and believe Jesus' words. He has shown tangible experiences in my life, that he is real and with me no matter what. So, what experiences are those? Just out of curiosity. What are they? Well, I'm not labeling you, Nicole. I'm just curious. I think sin is personal. What is for me, what it is for me might not be sin for you. What do y'all think? I absolutely agree with that, Trenzy. I completely agree with that. sin. I think sin is personal. What is for me, it might not be sin for you. What do y'all think? Yeah, yeah, totally and completely agree with that. It explains that in Romans quite well. In the Bible, it talks. I mean, it talks about this subjectivity of what it means to be holy. Typically, in the church, uh, holiness is viewed as something that is objective. In regards to be holy, you have to show it in these specific ways, in all of these specific manners. And to have faith is something that is internal. But when you really read the scriptures and read the New Testament, it's flipped. Faith is what is external and objective. Faith without works is dead. So faith without works, works being something objective, works being something that you do to show that you have faith, or that you are um, acting towards something greater than yourself that is in a unknown. You have no idea what it is, but you're acting towards it. Holiness is one of those things where it is subjective to you. It is because some people feel convicted. Not sure if that's a theological term or philosophical term, but convicted. People feel convicted. Some people feel convicted doing this, and other people don't. I mean, insert whatever in this. Um, and so, okay, well, alcohol for one. Some people are like, I don't drink, never have taken a drink, and I won't drink. And I have friends like that. And I'm like, that's fine. They feel convicted in that way. And I'm like, that's fine. And then, me, I drink, don't see an issue with it, don't have a problem with it. I'm not an alcoholic. And some people just operate differently. It's not a set in stone, this is wrong. And people operate like that as well, which gets into very close-minded fundamental religious thinking. But yeah, I do think in that regard of, and I don't know if we should call that sin, because yeah, sin is, I mean, I understand I understand what you're saying, and I understand the word in the context in which you're using it. But sin, I think, again, sin needs to be redefined. And I've talked about this before, and I said this before, but sin definitely needs to be redefined, um, because we don't really know what it is. And I've talked about that before on a number of other different videos. But in regard to what you're saying of just like, I guess doing wrong, I guess it is like you are, if you want to call that sin, if you want to call sin doing wrong, then it is the wrongdoing of your own convictions and against yourself. And so yeah, I agree with that statement of what you're saying. And when I say against yourself, I'm basically saying that if you have if you are not okay with drinking and you have never taken, I'm just using this as an example, of course. If you are not okay with drinking or smoking, then don't do it. And if you were to do it, then you would be, quote unquote, in the context in which you're using it, sinning. But if you're okay with it, you don't have any sort of conviction towards it, and you're okay with something like smoking and drinking, then by all means, go for it. Of course, everything in moderation. But yeah, so completely see and agree with you and what you're saying. I gotta go, Nate. Baseball time, of course. You're probably already gone, but peace out. Who made us? Who made this universe? I don't know. True salvation is knowing all your sins are forgiven because Jesus' blood atoned for them. If you don't have assurance in your salvation, then you don't truly believe the simplicity of the gospel. Now, what do you mean by assurance? Working on releasing any more music? I feel like the running response went well. Yeah, no, I think it went very well. I think people have enjoyed it and loved it. I'm probably going to release my cover on streaming platforms of Never Love Again. And then after that, I'm going to completely redo, remix, and remaster my song Back to You. Then I'll probably take my first EP down just because of quality's sake and for portfolio's sake on streaming platforms. And it's like nobody listens to it. So, but I know that they would listen to it if I redid it. But Back to You is my favorite song on that EP. And so I'm going to redo it, and then people will love it just as much as I do. Yeah, that's my plan. A timeline, hopefully within the next couple months. I was thanking you for telling me that you agree that it was probably PTSD. Yes. Jesus said you must have God's righteousness to be saved, and that only comes from having faith in the input. God's righteousness to be saved. Okay. That can only come by having faith in the input. Okay, wait. Jesus said that or Paul said that? I'd rather be an open sinner than a false saint. Regardless of grace, we all still commit sin. And sin's supposed to be divine law that gets holds sacred. So there doesn't have to be a standard for what is considered sin and what is not. Well, that's where okay, Eric, that's where I'm asking, that's where I'm saying sin needs to be redefined. Because if the standard is just simply wrongdoing, then it is very subjective. Um, but there's obviously there's more to it, and so that's it. Just needs to be redefined. My wife, then girlfriend, spoke in her sleep to me, answering questions I had about their death. Well, that's interesting. Whom she didn't know about, other people I knew who had passed. That's interesting. What would you so would you say she was talking to God in her sleep that was giving her this information, or would you say she was possessed by an angel or something? I don't know. Do you not read your Bible? I have read my Bible several times. Thank you very much. You are gifted. I appreciate that. No conviction is not scriptural because the Comforter is the Holy Spirit, not sent to convict. That's religion. So you don't believe in conviction. Nicole, I'm reading your statement. Then the next morning I woke up but went into this weird state of trance where I was at the place of their death and was shown where the gun was that was used. So was the gun there? I'm almost at the bottom of the comments. I don't think everyone is capable of doing this deep questioning because it really has to do with the environment and culture you are surrounded with, too. Oh, if we get to a point of questioning in a philosophical way the concepts of sin, belief, and fate, it might relate to the fact that the human brain has evolved to the point of questioning that. I don't think everyone is capable of doing this deep questioning because it really has to do with the environment and culture you are surrounded with too. Completely agree, Lily. All things are legal, but not all things are profitable. Self-control is the fruit of the Holy Spirit. He didn't mean to worship him, but to follow his lead. So what was his lead? I mean, you could say death was his lead or life. Yeah, I'm reading your I'm the way, the truth, and the life. You are the way, the truth, and the life. She is the way, he is the way, whatever. Interesting take. I wonder why, in certain contexts, the process of evangelism has more success than others. What do you think about it? Um, I wonder why, in certain contexts, the process of evangelism. What do you mean by the process of evangelism? Like how the gospel is told? In salvation is knowing when you leave this world that you will be present with the Lord in heaven. How do you truly know? Do you know from experience or do you know just because the Bible says that kind of? Sin is going against God's holy law. Well, what is God's holy law? I'm going to be very interested to hear what you say to this. If you're saying we need to redefine sin, who gets to do that? I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. I still mm, there's so much in that question. Oh man, sin is going against God's holy law. Let's just start there. Sin is going against God's holy law. What do you think God's holy law is? Justin Gardner. I'm reading your comments, Justin. Just so you know, I'm not really sure what to say to them. Being born again is inputted righteousness. Is God, quote unquote, a good guy, or we just hope he is? I guess I mean, we can always hope. Oh man. Um, I mean, I feel like that's such a subjective question. A lot of people would say it's objective because of the things that God appears to do or God does. In the Old Testament, so God looking like a bad guy, and then of course God looking like a good guy in the New Testament in regarding to the Bible, that is. Um, but then outside of the Bible, God being a God of, um, well, it's inside the Bible too, of course, but God being a God of love, God looking like a guy, God looking like Jesus, basically, that would be a good guy. But then people say, well, how can God both be Jesus and a God who kills men, women, and children and commits genocide in the Old Testament? Mauls kids with bears. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's I would like to believe. I would hope that God would be a good guy. On my Lost Taco account, oh my God, data is magnificent. The Lost Taco now has a new account. This is fantastic. So there's no conviction that comes from the Holy Spirit. He who sent to comfort and affirm truth. I get what you're saying, Nicole. It just I've heard it so many times. I totally understand. I totally get what you're saying. I've just heard it. I've heard it so many times, and it only that line of reasoning only works out for people if they are say. Let me ask you this, Nicole. Do you believe in hell? And do you believe hell is an eternal place? Well, I wasn't there physically, but I was given visual access. Visual access. What? Where were you then? Do a video conversation with your dad about atheism or science or anything denying God and have the title A Pastor's Opinion on Atheism Perspective. That might be that'd be an interesting perspective for sure. God's holy law is the Torah in Hebrew. Okay. So what does the Torah I know, okay. I'm asking these questions, but I also know the answers to them. I'm just curious to know what your answer is. I know what my answers are based out of, reading it and doing research. So God's holy law is the Torah in Hebrew. Okay. So what did Jesus say that the law is wrapped up into? God knew he would sin. That's why he sacrificed himself. God knew Jesus would sin. I mean, the process, man, there's a lot of, never mind. I mean, the process of people like, okay, I mean, the process of people like missionaries sharing the gospel, especially internally when in mission trips that go abroad. I'm saying it because I know people that come from my country struggled. Okay, so now that I understand what you're saying, Lily, what was the question again? I'm trying to think back on it. Jesus already finished works. See, Nicole, you're talking like a universalist, and that's why I'm trying to understand where you're coming from more. Which, by the way, I'm not opposed to universalism at all, at all, at all. I think that's probably the most correct theology, personally. Dang, just before I keep thinking I'm going to get to the end, I don't get to the end. Just get new mods. Oh man. You read you read yourself off by not engaging in topics and trying to belittle his female fans and objectively my relationship with him. So that's never going to be allowed to hear. The purpose of the law was to bring us to Christ. You cannot mix law and grace. Note to self, his viewership has grown. Yes. Christianity turned God into a schizophrenic by saying he gave the Israelites commandments and told them to keep them forever throughout all your generations, but that changes his name to what we call it in the New Testament. All right, so Nikki Wildflower, was that your response to me asking you what the law was? All right, even in the Torah, what's the law? What does the law point to? Hell isn't eternal though, right? Just the damnation is, aka wiped from the book of life. Well, that's the view of annihilationism. That's what I'm assuming. So, are you an annihilationist? No, hell was a place death before Jesus came. Remember Abraham's, yes. I believe there is a lake of fire that is completely different from hell and is based on scripture. I feel like all Christians do this. They bombard you with so much that in order to even begin to address what you're saying is a yes, I know. I know. And that's what I was going to say earlier. There's a lot of this going on tonight. Oh, it's just like, here's what I see. There's this tree, and what I'm doing is like this tree of Christianity, this tree of religion, right? What I'm doing with a lot of my deconstructing, with a lot of my research, with a lot of the questions I have, is like here's the ground of the tree is in the ground, and the roots are, down here. I'm like asking questions down here. Like this tree grew out of something, and it's, what's up here is just like some of it's dead, and people still think it's growing, but it's dead. And I'm like, all right, so what's actually still growing out of this idea that a God exists? And what's dead, but people still think that it's still living? And so I feel like I get a lot of questions from Christians that are they're questions based off of what's coming off of the branches, and sometimes those branches are dead. I'm like, hold on. Let's rewind, and I take a very pragmatic approach to these questions, which is basically like, I get questions on sin, and I get questions on conviction or guilt or things like that. And I'm like, hold on. What do you mean by sin? What do you mean by conviction? What do you mean by guilt? What do you mean by heaven? What do you mean by hell? What do you mean by salvation? What do you mean by belief, by faith? These words that people just throw out, all the time when talking in, conservative fundamentalist language, without actually knowing and diving deep into what they're saying and what those words actually mean, without diving into the etymology of it, really. And so it's difficult hearing some of these questions, because it's not that I can't elaborate or answer some of these questions. It's just like, hold on, for me to completely get like a full appropriate thought out, it's like I gotta like, okay, not only do I need to pragmatically uh, dissect the question, but I also have to try to reveal to that individual that the branch on which their question hangs could potentially be a dead branch. Now, this is difficult because obviously they think it's alive. They think it's a legitimate question. But I'm like, hold on. If you would go back a little bit, just back a little bit, and then back a little bit more, and then to the roots of it all, you would see that that's not a simple question. There's actually a lot more to it, and that's potentially a dead end because it's a dead branch. It's been dead for a long ass time. It's been dead for a long time. But we're still asking these questions, and then we're making up our own answers, which just go and feed religion. Because when we make up our own answers based on our own subjective philosophical desires, that it's like, well, this has to be the case, this has to be right, then it's just, it strays away from, this seed that was there, born, whatever, God, this thing that has come up out of the ground, that it's rooted in something. But then, then people started to try to explain it in different ways, and it's worked in some, and now it hasn't worked, and it's created chaos, and it's created a number of things. It's created religion, and so it's like, let's leave aside all of this, like everything we think we know, all of the philosophy and religion that we think makes sense to us, and let's actually go back down to the roots of like, let's actually listen to what we're saying. And so it's so it's just so difficult. I love it because I love having these conversations. But it's like, oh man, how can I dissect a question and also ask them the question, is this a legitimate question? Because it might be a dead question off of a dead a dead tree altogether. We don't even know, when we're never going to know unless we go back to the roots of it. So I'm trying in my whole deconstruction process of religion, of God, of everything, I'm going back to the roots. And it's difficult whenever I hear somebody say a comment, conservative, fundamental, religious, Christian, whatever. Whenever I hear somebody say a comment that makes complete sense to them and to religion and to Christianity, and it just feeds that philosophy of religion, that it's like, this makes perfect sense to me. And I'm like, do you know how God works? Because what they're essentially claiming in those statements is, I know the law of God. I know this. I know that. Whatever the case may be, insert whatever. And it's like, you're kind of making a claim that you not only believe in God, but you 100% fully understand him. And also now you have become this spokesman person for him, which is like, okay, you got the Bible. Let's say that that's true. Okay. But you got the Bible, but the amount of contradictions that are in there, that it's like, all right, are you actually reading? Oh, not just the contradictions, but by the way, it wasn't written in English. It was written in Greek, and it was written in Hebrew. And to understand Greek and Hebrew, you have to understand how the language is written, because it's completely different from English. And you have to understand the cultural basis for the Jewish people. It's not simple. It's not that simple. And that's like the whole point I'm trying to make here with all of these questions that I get, is it's like, not even questions, statements that I get where it's like, this is how this works. And I'm like, it's not that simple. It's just not. Because at the end of the day, it's an encounter and it's an experience that matters, because we can create as much philosophical jargon as we want for it to make complete sense to us. But at the end of the day, if what the religion or philosophy says is, this will give you unconditional love, right? If that's what it says, and at the end of the day, we don't feel loved, then it's all bullshit. And it all doesn't even matter, because the entire purpose of this religious thinking is for us to feel more human, to feel more love, to feel safe, secure in ourselves, and that there is something greater. If at the end of the day, we can't experience or haven't experienced any of that, what the fuck's the point? I mean, am I crazy in this? Like, it's just so. Thank you for saying that, Jess. It's just ah, that was a very long rant, and I'm sure I'm way behind in the comments, but I just needed to say all that. All right, I'm gonna skip so much. So yeah, skipped a lot of comments. I'm going down. So if I didn't get to your question, sorry. Write it again. But yeah. Okay, I'm going up a little bit. Have you seen Messiah? No, I haven't. The gospel is hard. Yes, etymology is the best stuff to study. Yep. And so to have a conversation with someone who hasn't even asked themselves what they think of belief means without quoting scripture, it's difficult and disheartening. Yeah, I completely agree, Nate. And my main question to you is, do you know and believe Jesus came in the flesh and did die on the cross, was buried, and rose again on the third day? No, I don't know or believe that. I kind of, if it's real, it'd be nice to believe it, but I mean, I don't. I know the story, but I haven't been affected. Uh, um, I haven't been affected. Yeah. I apologize for that. Haven't been affected by that story enough to like actually it hasn't uh I've let me put it this way. Jesus came to save our souls, but I often feel like I have done more saving myself than Jesus has actually done saving me or saving. The only way I can express it is in the lyrics I wrote to a song that I still am trying to figure out the freaking name for. It says, "I don't know you as my savior because I've always had to save myself." Um, and then la da 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 da, and I'm asking you to save me now. Say la da 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 because I have so many lines that could be imprinted in that to make sense for the context of the song. It's annoying. I've been working on this song for like 2 years. Um, but anyway, rather than dissect the question, just explain what the context of what and where it's being said in scripture. The context is what's more debatable. Oh man, no. Yes and no. Context is one thing, but historical, cultural knowledge is also another. So yes, I can take things in context and say, in context, this is what he was talking about. But you got to know the culture and the people as well. Yes, the then deconstruct if Jesus was real, and then if he believes Jesus was killed, and then if he believes that someone killed. Yeah, you get me, Jess. Eman, what's going on? Just tuned in. Do you think we're here by coincidence, or do you think we're here for a purpose? Well, I think that we are here for a purpose. Whether we were here by coincidence or not, I think is irrelevant to the second question. And what I mean by that is whether we evolved and now we have evolved to this point of being this intelligent, or whether we were placed here and we were always this intelligent, or placed or created, whatever you want to call it, placed, created here, and we were always this intelligent, but we didn't know it until now, I guess. I don't know. Or we haven't used our intelligence to the fullness that we are capable of using it. Whatever the case may be, I do think that there is purpose in this life. And I guess evidence for that is just these discussions that are being had right now. And also, there is violence in the world, there is hate, there is um, uh, disrespect of human life. I mean, we are conscious enough, we are aware enough, we are evolved enough to begin to kind of understand what true love is. And we have come to the point where we are able to realize that in order to truly love, we have to first learn to love ourselves. And we it's n- I don't know if human life was have always been able to ask these questions and to address these things, because coming from a earth life system, as Robert Monroe calls it, where the principal the principal instinct, the principal drive in this earth system, is survival. And now we have evolved to a point where it's not just about survival, but it's not just about surviving, but it is about thriving. And so I think I've said it time and time again. I don't think our purpose is what we do. I think our purpose is who we are. And so, in regards to a purpose of doing, no, I think that's dead end. I think if you find a something that you can do that reflects who you are, then you might find uh, what you're actually supposed to do in life. Not supposed to do, but what actually you can do that illuminates who you are. And so I think that our purpose, when we look at it from a sense of it's not what we do, but it's who we are, then we realize that we can be this gifted, shining light to everyone else to exemplify what it's actually like and what it means to truly be human and to truly evolve into our best selves. And I think our evolved best self looks like the person who can truly love. And I don't think people have gotten to that point yet. I think we're just discovering philosophically, we're able to start asking the questions, what it means to truly love. And so some people would say, well, that's evidence that we weren't here by coincidence. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I think regardless, I know that we are asking these questions right now and we are able to point these things out. And so I do think that the purpose of our existence, it has a lot to do with unity, has a lot to do with oneness. And that's not me going into some weird new agey, we're all one and the same. I don't know. I have no idea. But I do think that there is point and benefit to in an evolving process of consciousness and of humanity, to you know since we're able to ask these questions and we've been evolved to this point, our purpose is to evolve to a point where humanity as a whole is completely able to love. What that looks like and what will result from that, I don't even think that we can fathom what that will even look like yet, because we haven't come to a point in our existence where those we don't even have the eyes to see that yet. But I do think that has something to do with our purpose. I do think that we are here for a purpose. And so I know that's a long drawn out answer, but hopefully that answers your question. That was a good rant. Well, thanks, Lily. Oh, Jess. Yes, it does bother me to skip, okay? I'm a misfit for a reason. Just saw that comment. What do you think about the God of man? I don't know where I'm at. I'm sorry, guys. I'm all over the place. Have you watched the movie Case for Christ? Yes, I have. God religion is a coping mechanism for people who can't handle and accept reality. Completely and 100% agree. Now, with that, here's my question. Is God in reality? Is God reality? Is God a part of reality? So, God and religion is a coping mechanism for people who can't handle reality, but also I think that it's a coping mechanism if God is real for people who can't handle not understanding reality. Because if God is real, we don't understand him. We can think that we understand him. If God created everything and we don't know everything, we haven't even scratched the surface on everything, then we can't even possibly begin to understand or fathom or imagine the being that created it all. And so I think that not only, if God is not real, that religion is a coping mechanism for people who can't handle and accept the reality, but it is also a coping mechanism for people who desperately seek to understand something that it's paradoxical for them to even understand it. Just like the argument with Arminianism, Molinism, Calvinism, predestination, all of that, like people are like, this is the way it is because this is what I see as truth in the Bible. This is what I believe. But to have God's perspective, to actually know the truth of the matter of that theological standing, is to see eternally in the present. It's a paradox to us. We will never know what that is like. We can't even we can't even begin to imagine or understand what that is like. Yet, if God exists and if He is outside of time, that's how He sees things, and we can't understand that. But yet, people want so badly to understand that they create their own religious ideas and philosophy to trap themselves in a specific understanding that might not have anything to do with God or who He is. Um, yeah, I mean, that's what I think from the side of if God exists, but in the side of if God doesn't exist, then absolutely people use religion as a coping mechanism because they can't handle or accept reality. I mean, this is just absolutely the case. I mean, yeah, gosh, you could go in so many directions with that whole idea of thinking. I mean, it's really, oh, yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm just not even. I don't even know if I can go there because of how. So I'll put it this way: if God exists, then everything what I just said, then it makes sense, and there's somewhat of a like it's not an excuse to be religious in any sense, but religion is like it's like a man-made artifact of something that could be real. But if God does not exist, then it is just a completely man-made, manipulative, um, nihilistic in some senses, um, just diabolically evil manipulation tactic to gain the masses with fear in regards to hell and theological standings of that point. I mean, and so, you know, some people, yeah, some people can't handle reality, and so they just go into um, religion, believing in God and stuff. I say believing in God, yeah, believing in the idea or whatever of God. I'm excited for your journey, which is why I'm here. Well, thank you, Nicole. I'm also glad that you're here. When you were in Christianity, what did the church teach you on sin and what sin was and how to turn away from it? They didn't, it wasn't talked about really. What do you think about man, I can't even tell if I've already read this. God of other beliefs, religions aside from Christianity. Do you hold any of these religions to be more true than others? No. I'm new, by the way. I've been checking out your videos over time, and you, my friend, are asking the hardest questions. I used to fear believing in something different than Christianity, but not anymore. Well, that's awesome. Thanks. Glad you're here. Glad you're watching my content. Do you believe that religion focuses projecting salvation to another world is a life deny? Do you believe that religions focus the projecting salvation to another world is a life denying philosophy? Could be. Very well could be. The Book of Eli. Love that movie a lot. Christianity was a spiritual practice that has become religion. That's if Christianity is truth, that's what it is. I love this conversation, guys. Glad you're a part of it, Luli. What book is that? Prophetic Words. According to this book, God didn't create it. The interpretation. I want to hear that. I want to hear that book. Okay, when you say if God exists, which God outside of thousands do you question exists? I'm saying okay. I keep forgetting Darkin. You are absolutely right that I need to make a distinction. I am saying in the general sense, God. Now I use examples from the Christian religion because that's what I grew up in. That's what I know most. Now, I've looked into and studied other religions, but I don't know them enough to actually use decent examples from them. Um, so I just, whatever religion, I just don't think. I think religion's just toxic. But God, it's just I'm questioning if God exists. Now, I gather a lot of my ideas from, I guess, the Bible of what God might be like. But at the end of the day, I have to throw all those out because God might, if He exists, might not be anything like that. Might not, and so I use when I say God, I mean just God in a general sense. I don't care what if God is real, whatever. If he's some Hindu God, if he's you know Islamic, if he's a Christian Abrahamic, if he's some New Age thing, I whatever. When I say God, I mean it in the most general sense outside of religions. So maybe that clears things up, maybe it doesn't. Um, is there a difference between religion and spirituality, or do you consider them both the same? No, they are absolutely not the same thing at all. Religion is, I heard it best put by one of my mentors that he's in the church still. He believes in God, the God of the Bible, Christian. He's a Christian. And I heard it put best by him, who said that religion is like this. People package it into this nice little pretty gift that says, here's how everything works. Here's how the world was created. Here's how God operates. Here's how you need to operate. And if you don't operate, here's what will happen. It gives you the rules, the laws, the ins, the outs, all of that, and it's in this nice, pretty little package saying, if you do all of this, you will be blessed. You will be loved. You will, experience this, experience that, whatever. But no, that's not. Yeah, that's religion, but it doesn't work because it's based off of doing. Spirituality is dirty. It's messy. It's not a pretty nice. It's not a nice, pretty little package. It is a lot of failure involved. There's a lot of growing and learning because of failure involved. And it's not in the doing, but it's in the being. So religion is oftentimes in the doing. Like, I have to do this to be blessed. I have to do this to be loved. I have to do this to achieve salvation. I have to do this to go to heaven. Or if I don't do this, then I'll go to hell. Whatever. Um, and don't get me wrong, I do believe in the doing, in action, in acting things out. But spirituality is acting out of your being rather than acting out of to obtain something. Where religion is you always trying to look outside of yourselves and obtain something. But spirituality talks more about how it's in the being, and actually all of that is inside of you. And the mystery of, and it depends on how you read scripture. Of course, I'm going back to scripture because that's what I know best, because grew up in a Christian home, whatever. And so the mystery that Paul talks about is Christ in you. And religion tries to explain what that means, and says this is how you can feel and experience and achieve Christ being in you and growing in you. But spirituality says there's no doing. It's just in the being, and it's accepting who you are and surrendering. Um, and I find that spirituality is often much more experiential, and it allows for experience. Religion is much more, if you do this, this, and this, then you might have some sort of spiritual experience. But spirituality says actually meditate, actually, get deeper into yourself, into your consciousness, that you have all of these things inside it. There's a lot more room for experimentation and failure in religion. There's no room for failure. There's no room for um you know there's no room for wrongdoing, depending on your religion, that is. But it still all is evolved out of the doing. So the biggest difference that I see in religion versus spirituality is religion is in the doing and the obtaining, but spirituality is out of the being, and you're just being and accepting who you are. So I do think that they are very different, from each other, and it's still, even everything that I just said is only scratching the surface of the matter. You can get into how spirituality, in the practices of spirituality, religion, with some religions might see that as demonic, or wrong, or you don't want to, whatever. A lot of different things. But spirituality sees that as well, it's actually healthy for you, physically healthy for you. And so basically, religion is psychologically damaging and spirituality is emotionally freeing. So I maybe yeah. So that's just the surface of what it actually is. But from everything that I've researched and learned, those are some of the biggest distinctions I see between religion and spirituality. What are your thoughts on life path numbers, or is that off topic? No, it's not off topic. I've talked about it before of angel numbers and things of that nature. It's totally subjective. They mean, I mean, I don't know what they mean. I don't know what they do, but I do know that when I see the numbers, they affect me psychologically. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's something like a PTSD something or what, or if it's just a mindset. I don't know what that is. I do know that they affect you. I did a video on it. It's one of these live chat videos that I did, where I go a little bit more in depth in it. Um, Angel numbers and are they numerology and are they real and stuff. Yeah, if there is a God, it's nothing like any God of any religion. I'd call it a creator, not a. That's actually a great point, Dargan. I might start doing that. If a creator exists, that's actually really really good. I might I think I'm gonna try to change my language to instead of saying if God exists, saying if a creator exists. That's a great point. Our feelings of alienation or fear, moral dogma of individuals and socialist behavior, mainly of prayers and sacrifice and cult. Yeah. How weird is it that there is a devil emoji but not a God emoji? That's true. Yes, religion is toxic and destructive, but spirituality is a real relationship. A group of ideas, experiences referred to as spiritual life goes above the material world and involves the spirit. Howdy, Nate. What's up, Blackbirds? I'm late. No shit. uh, are cults just miniature religions? No. I mean, depending on how you look at it. And if a dog god of a certain cult was the true god, how must one intentionally what? Intelligibly reoccur? What? React? I doubt that a dog god is the true god or creator, I should say. Um, but that's beyond me. I don't know. I don't friggin' know. What numbers do you see consistently? Consistently, 22, twos, 22, 222, 37, 17, 7, 3, um, 37. Yeah, I said that. 43, um, 52, 71, 73. Yeah. And 11. Yeah, 11s. It's been a week. What have I missed? Uh, you missed not much, but much. I mean, it's an hour and a half in, so I had 777 on my trip odometer the morning my dad texted me and told me my grandma died. Wow. Yeah. My when I first started this entire deconstruction process back in 2016. Um, 3 months later, I was just coming off of my nervous breakdown, still trying to figure out reality. Still had some anxiety and panic attacks hit me every so often. Well, just like nervous breakdown attacks. I don't know. It was a weird depersonalization. That's what was happening. Depersonalization and derealization episodes happening to me. One morning I got up and went to work when I was still working at a factory, and the mileage in my parents' van, because I didn't have a car yet, the mileage in my parents' van was 222,222. What's up with seeing numbers consistently? What do you mean? Like, what's up with it, or like, what is it, or are you saying I see numbers consistently too, and what's up with that? But rest in peace, Neil. Rush fan, but the guy was a damn good drummer. Oh, I didn't know that drummer of Rush died. Oh, rest in peace, man. My sister sees 222, which was her birth time, and my daughter sees 1013, which is her birthday, and I also see 1114, which is my birthday. Kind of weird we all see the numbers related to our birth. My birthday is August 19th, and I don't see those numbers hardly any time. I guess I haven't looked for them, though, so. Have you ever come across Bertrand Russell's teapot theory? Oh, I've heard of the teapot theory. Yeah. No, I know the teapot theory. Yeah, I've come across it. I'd have to like refresh my memory on it. But I know the teapot theory. I mean, it's just basically theorizing. It's just basically it's playing off of I forget who it was. It was somebody's philosophical argument for the existence of God. That, of course, it was a philosophical argument, and so it was circular and didn't play out. And the teapot theory was just showing how it's a circular argument and how it doesn't make any philosophical sense. That's how I remember it, at least. Derealization's order since I was 5 or 6. It's a bummer. I feel your pain because I've had those episodes and they suck. What up, you weird traveler? What's up, man? The man. What's going on? I'm reading your comments, Jess. Huh. Yes, I used to do astrological birth charts. Nice. And so I mean, until there's a better explanation, I think astrology has really got it going on because it literally just nailed you from the time you were growing up and now that your life would be focused outside of yourself. What? I was just wondering why people were talking about numbers. Angel numbers, numerology, synchronicity, stuff like that. I don't know what they mean. Just numbers, but I see them a lot and they affect me psychologically. Sometimes I get encouraged by them. Other times I'm like, dang. I don't know. I have no idea what that is. I think it just affects me from a psychological standpoint. I don't really look at it as a spiritual thing, but I don't know. I have no idea what it is. Jess, I want to know more about my astrology info. Well, Luli, send your stuff to Jess. She'll get it done and explain everything to you. She is a wonder worker in that stuff. When Jay made statements off myself, I can do nothing, and I, the Father, are one, he wasn't claiming any kind of specialness for himself. He was giving up any time as authorship and accepting his true strength. The power of God, the Creator. Interesting. I mean, I see where he's coming from. I understand that theological standing. Astrology is extremely biblical. I do agree with that. Yeah, no, astrology has been around longer than the Bible, but the Hebrews, the Jewish people were, it was like they were all astrologers. And so that's why you find astrology in the Bible a lot, because it was around way before the Bible and way before Jesus's time and all of that. And so in the culture, that's a lot of references used in the Bible are astrological references. Oh yeah, that's a good one, Shaler. Yes, Jess, I would also agree with Shaler's comment. Check out Aaron Abke and Aaron Tomlinson talking about Christianity and astrology. It is mind-opening. Fun facts from Luli. I'm in. Let's do this. I think I know what you're talking about. Mine is 242. I know the scientific explanation, but too much to explain here. Man, Darkin, you should really get on this Discord channel, this Discord chat, because and you could type out as much as you wanted, and we could all read it. It'd be great. Do you think the future, as in when millennials are as old as baby boomers now, we will see religion being more prevalent or more irrelevant, and why so? Definitely more irrelevant. I mean, people are waking up. People are waking up, man, especially millennials, and they're just seeing religion for the toxic nonsense that it is. And so many millennials, man, drifting a lot more towards spirituality. And I don't think that's millennials being stupid millennials. I think that is millennials being intelligent and seeing the things that the people before them have missed. And so, yeah, I do think that religion, hopefully in the next 100 years, will be very irrelevant, and spirituality will be much more prevalent, and will, take hold, take shape in a newer and greater way for people to not just have their own philosophical ideas or what. I don't know why I'm holding this empty water bottle, whatever. But missed, and it's like right there. But anyway, yeah, I do think that in the next 100 or so years, whatever, it will become more irrelevant. And that spirituality will become this thing where it's like, because I think what people are figuring out is that spirituality is this thing where it is a lot more experience. It's a lot more tangibly focused. It's a lot more being, just like the difference that I was just explaining with religion and spirituality. That there's this much more of a tangible experiential focus in the focus of being, and religion is all about doing. And it's like doing things that might not ever result in something tangible, but it's just a lifestyle philosophy, even. And so I think these things are being exposed, and people are drifting a lot more towards spirituality. And I think in the next 100 years or so, it will become very irrelevant. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 100 years, or however long I'm going to be here. So these facts are written in the article I showed the Discord group, and they are there. But in case anyone is interested in belief in God topic, I can put them here. Oh yeah, I need to read that article for sure. But how could I believe that for a second that astrology is biblical when we know for a fact that when the Egyptians, when the pyramids were born, we know that it's much older. So if anything, the Bible ripped it off. No, Jess, I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. It's not that the Bible created their own version of astrology. It's that the Bible uses exactly the astrology that is before it. The Bible didn't take astrology and nobody interpreted it and saying now there's biblical astrology. No, the astrology that you're saying, the same astrology that the Egyptians used with the pyramids and all of that, is the same exact thing that is in the Bible. And people miss this, or people don't want to admit that it's there, but it is there. I'm completely agreeing with what you're saying, Jess. 100%. I'm not saying the Bible ripped it off, though. I'm saying the Bible uses it for what it's always been. Three, six, nine, Tesla. Huh. Robert Downey Jr. Alone you go faster, together you go further. Yo, that's a great quote. That is a fantastic quote. RDJ, man, killing it. Did he just come up with that on the spot? Or like is that a quote that he quoted? What if for the sake of knowing all, we go so fast ahead that we remain alone? And even though we put in the right questions, because we only have our perspective, we can't go further. Yo, that's a deep question. That is deep. I like it. Age of Aquarius, yep. What does your parents think about leaving Christianity? They don't really like it, but they've coped with it, I guess you could say. Before I go, I liked Messiah. Even as an atheist, you should watch it so I can ask you what you thought of it. Really? Darkin, you liked a show named Messiah? All right, I'm gonna have to watch. Is that on Netflix? I think it's on Netflix. Lulu, did you already put out a fact? Okay, not yet. Do you believe we are energy? What are your thoughts on this? I believe we have energy. Um, yeah, we have energy. I don't know. I mean, yes, we are. I mean, I feel like that doesn't really take belief to know that. I mean, we are energy. We have energy. We are basically made up of energy. Um, I don't think that takes a lot of belief to, you know, uh, be of that mindset, unless I'm reading it wrong. But the Bible says that time started at a specific place, a specific point, and a point at which we know astrology was being used was long before then. So that's contradictory. Um, I get what you're saying, Jess, but I don't think the Bible actually says that. And what I mean by that is if you're referring to the Genesis 1, um, that's debatable whether it was literal or not. I've been going through it this week. I'm curious how a person should respond to being accused of a crime they didn't commit. If the person is innocent, then completely don't fight it. Just go. It's almost like go with the accusations. Like, I want to tell the truth. And if I didn't do this, then why would I be saying what I'm saying? Why would I be, that's how I play it. Like, if somebody's accusing me of something, I'm like, look, dude, if I did it, I'll own up to it. But I didn't do it. And I'm just like, I'm not seeing how this makes sense. So obviously I don't know the situation, but I know that's the approach that I would take. Could see how religion has been lying to them. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Jess. I agree. Ultimate explanations that focus on why a behavior evolved, its functional origins as an adaptation or evolutionary byproduct. So now I'm going to share with you these proximate and ultimate explanations. Sweet. Oh, and approximation explains focusing on intimate. How my behaviors perform. Nice. Darken. Have you ever heard of the um, YouTube channel Inspiring Philosophy? He pretty much debunks how Jesus is compared to, or Jesus was ripped off from Horus, the Egyptian god, and from what's his face? Like how a lot of people say Jesus was ripped off from this and from this. And he does a very good job of going through historical documentation on how Jesus was not ripped off from all of those other, Egyptian god or whatever. He goes through a lot of different ones, not just Horus, but a lot of different people. I think those videos are worth checking out. He provides pretty good evidence that supports it. Oh my god. Blackbirds, I just read your joke comment. That's hilarious. High on DMT because of the burning bush. Oh my god. Is our energy used in the flesh or will it continue into the afterlife? No idea. Ultimate factors for belief in God evolve cognitive bias and cultural evolution. And proximate factors include cognitive, motivational, and social. And all of this are so interesting. Huh. Are you talking about Messiah Domain? Just talk dirty to me, Lily. That's amazing. Can energy be destroyed? Well, scientifically, no. That song by Jason Derulo, though, yo, that's a good song. Huh. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I definitely need to watch Messiah. I was referring to AC/DC. Oh my god. You heard NF's latest? What you said reminded me when he says, "When my life crashes, I'm not the guy that will flee the scene. I take ownership and own and raise my hand if it's me." What's NF's latest? For more info on this fun, I would recommend all of you lovely individuals to go and check out this article because it's incredible. I do need to read that. And it has tons of other articles involved. I definitely need to read that. Appreciate you for sharing it on the Discord channel. The Future of God. Ooh, that's a great title. That's a good one, Jess. Nothing is lost and everything transforms. So, no, energy cannot be destroyed. No, I was talking to the Young Pope on HBO. Oh, Young Pope on HBO. Got it. I need Jess and Sia live. Yeah, for real. Sia live happening next week publicly. I'll make a bigger announcement on a video. Paid My Dues. Oh, yeah, that's a great song. Paid My Dues is great. I'm leaving you all the article and saying bye because I got to go. We'll see you later, Luli. Glad to have you part of this chat. Greta Van Fleet. No, I haven't. Look up the trailer of Messiah on YouTube and read the comments. Muslims are freaking out about if they believe it's they believe it's their version of the Antichrist. No way. I definitely got to watch these trailers. Greta Van Fleet. Resemble Led Zeppelin but have their own sound. Interesting. Is it me or that every NF song gets progressively better? Yo, every NF song gets progressively better. I hope his next album is better than his last though. There was a lot of great songs on his last album. Well, his newest album. Um, damn, what's it called? Every song sounded alike to me. In Flames, Only for the Weak, Thank Me Later. I think I've listened to that song. I think you shared it with me before. Yeah, that's true. Darking, got to get some sleep. See you later, friend. All right, friend. I will see you next time, Darkin. You are all amazing. Keep up with this journey. Bye, Nate. You are pretty cool. You're pretty cool too. I think we found a label for some of us, Nate. People of faith, huh? According to my understanding, yeah. Sleep well. You too. Why did that happen? Somebody wrote me on Facebook, then it quickly disappeared. Misfits of faith. Yo, for real, John Bellion. Imagine an NF John Bellion collab. Yo, you're talking of heaven. Musical producer heaven. Oh man. So much stuff. I find NF cheesy. I get it. He's skilled in the craft, that is for sure. But for me, feels like I've been where he is too much time ago, so I can't relate anymore. Don't lynch me, NF fans. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Anybody who's come out of the place that NF is constantly at wouldn't listen to him as much. And that's the thing. If NF constantly stays where he's staying without good explanation, which by the way, he has some very good explanation in his lyrics and in his music. But if he continues to be in this spot and not evolve even further into a happier, not happier, joyful place, yeah, it's gonna get boring. Any more thoughts on doing the Kevin Garrett cover? I love Kevin Garrett. I want to do it. It's just hard for me. Once I obtain this level of this standard of sound quality, it's hard for me to just like throw together covers anymore because I want to make it the best that it can be. And so it's like I don't know. When I first started doing covers on YouTube, I was like doing one a week. I was like, yeah, just record it and throw this on, throw that on. But now I'm like, I actually know what I'm doing with sound production stuff, and so it's yeah, I don't like to just throw things together. Do you think that philosophy will eventually replace religion? Probably not. I hope so. I get what you're saying. Uh, yeah. In his outro, listen to the lyrics. Lyrics are too long for me to type. I don't know. Oh man, closing down for the evening. About 5 more minutes. Maybe record another video in the bathroom or hallway and just give it a watch. One of the more meaningful songs to you. You don't need all that tech. I know I don't need all the tech. I want all the tech. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're right. And I already learned the chords to um God, what's the title track? I already learned all the chords to that. I like it. Civil rights quote, but it works for self-transformation. That's good stuff. I'm about to make me a steak. Pray I don't burn the house down. Well, I will hope. JK. I'm actually a surprisingly good cook. That's funny. Me too. I can cook. Don't forget the essence that made you fall in love with songs and songwriting. I'm still obsessed with that song, by the way. Title track, you mean? Oh, such a good song. So good. I will hope. Yes. That's a huge water. One of these a day. I've got that single mom skills at cooking. That's funny. How does one that's gluten-free cook anything besides sandpaper? I cook a lot of meat. I grill and cook steam vegetables. I can make shepherd's pie. I can make basically, if something requires flour, you just replace it with almond flour, coconut flour. Something requires butter. Well, I won't even use that. It's possible. It's all possible. You should look into alkaline water. I've had plenty of people talk to me about alkaline water. Um, thing about alkaline water is it's I don't know here we go again. Come on. Oh, I gotta sneeze. It's not coming out though. I think it went away. Okay. Um, thing about what was I saying? Oh, alkaline water. The people that I've talked to about it said it's good you can't drink it with food. Like it's good to drink on an empty stomach. I'm like, okay. All right. But I don't wanna drink water when I'm on an empty stomach and then drink water when I'm not on an empty stomach. I just want to drink good water all the time. I don't know. That makes things too complicated for me. Talking from a guy who's like super complicated when it comes to food and diet. It overcomplicates it. I'll just say that. Look at a light. It helps you sneeze. Nope. It just blinded the shit out of me. Atheist here. Been watching your channel for a few years. Are you serious? A few years? Bro, how have you never have you commented before? Have you well, thank you for watching my content and enjoying it for a few years. That's amazing. Super glad that you're on live chat and that you've introduced yourself. How have I not? Well, glad you're here. Home is when water does not taste weird. This is true. LOL. That is amazing, Demame. That's that's great. I'm subscribed to you, but this live stream isn't showing up on my subscription list. I didn't even know you did live streams. For real? Yo, you got to hit that notifications button. Then you will know. I'm just mildly intelligent in a wide range of areas. All right, guys. Well, it is that 2 hour mark, and appreciate you guys so much. You guys are absolutely incredible. And thank you for being here on a Thursday night. Like I said at the beginning, these lives will start to be on Thursday nights. I just got a job bartending. And so I'm going to be working weekends at nights. It's a part time gig. And yeah, it is what it is. I will let you guys know if you hit that notifications button and get notified. If you're on my Discord chat, I always let my Discord chat people know when live is happening. And I also post on the community. So be sure, if you're not on the Discord chat, get on it. It's a great place to be. But also keep track of the community tab. And I believe that you can get notifications for that if you hit the notifications button. So, yeah, I think these lives will be happening Thursday nights now, and potentially Wednesday nights if I happen to be working on a Thursday night. But thank you guys so much for being here, being a part. And yeah, I will see you guys next Friday. Peace.